And we are back. Linda Swain in for Patty Daly, who's off today. We're going now to Ken. You're on the air. Hello, Ken.
Hey, good morning, Linda. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. Nice day outside here in Gould. First of all, let me say thank you to your producer. I did try and get on Friday, and like the good gentleman he is, he called me back this morning, asked me if I was still interested, and of course I am. So, Linda, I want to talk a little bit about the proposed wind industry coming to Newfoundland. Now, I've got a couple articles which I'm not going to read keyed up here. And one, now this just broke, 155 Ontario municipalities are unwilling hosts for future wind projects. Also, a major company in Alberta just scrapped a project, a company called TransCanada Wind Energy, and that's due to a 35-kilometer buffer zone that's been put in. Now,
but is it really a wind industry, or is it a hydrogen production industry that is energized by wind?
Well, if it involves skyscraper-type wind turbines to produce that hydrogen, it's a wind industry. And not only that, I mean, like I had some thoughts in mind, but now I'm off track. But anyway, so it seems like it's full steam ahead in Newfoundland. Now, and I just mentioned two articles. Wind projects are being rejected, not just across the world, but in Canada. And Alberta is making it a little more difficult to come in. However, it seems to be wide open for Newfoundland. Now, from what I gather, hundreds of emails have been sent to the decision makers, and of course they're all in St. John's. Now, the wind industry is not the decision makers. It's the people that we elected. And their emails have either gone unnoticed or they've been ignored from all these concerned citizens. You know, they say they had a social license. They didn't. The only way that they could have properly consulted the people of Newfoundland was by means of a referendum. Now, having said that, I think that there's a way to gain the attention of the decision makers, and that's for a protest en masse where the decisions are made, and that's at the Confederation building. That being said, a friend of mine is organizing a protest for Canada Day, at the Confederation building in St. John's, and this is an opportunity for those people like myself, to go there and support Mike Coos, who's from this area. He's not from the West Coast, and he's really concerned about what's coming, like a lot of people. Now, a lot of us are ranting on Facebook. Well, you know what? That's all fine. But it's not going to get the attention of the decision makers. The only way to get the attention of the decision makers is if people show up in force at the building where they make the decision.
So what is among the greatest concerns from your viewpoint on wind energy in particular?
Okay, I'm going to refer you to a documentary that was produced over 10 years ago. It's about an hour and 20 minutes long, and the documentary is called Downwind, and it talks about Ontario's very draconian Green Energy Act. You know, I'm not going to get into the details of it. I would suggest that people just go to YouTube and search for Downwind. It's 138 minutes, and it should be a warning to Newfoundlanders. Those that oppose this, or people that won't really know, there's a dark side to green energy. There really is. I mean, it's not, and the selling point for out to Newfoundlanders is jobs, jobs, jobs. Well, we've all heard that before. People long before my time heard this. Joey Smallwood told people to throw away their fishing boats, right?
It seems like it's the mantra for a lot of industrial development in Newfoundland and Labrador is the promise of jobs. That's always been the case. Does that still resonate in the same kind of way, or does it only resonate with the politicians?
Well, I tell you what, there's a lot of, I'm going to call them proponents of the industry, and you know what? They're all on board with this. People think that it's going to be great. You know what? I'll be able to buy a bigger truck, a bigger house. Well, you know what? You can only sit on one couch at a time. You can build a bigger house. You can have your grandkids come home from Alberta and stuff like that and watch them being raised. But at what cost? I mean, the wind industry, and certainly not the government, nobody is talking about the negative impacts, like on our wildlife, and I could go on here.
Do you think
negative impact on communities like Ontario, rural Ontario, became deeply divided, and for things like one person has an acreage or a farm, and their neighbors put massive, allow the wind companies to come in and put up these massive turbines. Now, Linda, I got something to tell you. I'm 65 years old. Okay, I just came back to Newfoundland 5 years ago. I plan to live out the rest of my days here. But I'll tell you what, if I've got any more time left on my life, I'm not going to be living it in the shadows of wind turbines. I will move back to Alberta, where at least the government out there is putting up buffer zones to say, no, we don't want this in communities or in protected areas. Wildlife, I'm talking about. I don't know. Like it's very emotional for me to see. I mean, Ontario, the wind industry, they promised 50,000 jobs. It didn't happen. You know, Doug Ford campaigned on the Green Energy Act, and he won the election, I think, because of it. The Liberal Party were almost decimated in Ontario because it wreaked havoc on rural Ontarians, and then everybody paid the price. Energy bills went all over Ontario. It didn't bring in new industry. In fact, industry left because it was too expensive to operate in Ontario. There's so much out there, information right now. I just offered you two new articles that just came out. One about 155 communities in Ontario that are saying no to future wind products. Alberta is putting up a 35 kilometer buffer zone. Where's it all going? Where's all this going? And very few people are speaking out against it, other than the Facebook group.
Do you think that, out of sight, out of mind, do you think that you'll hear from more people? There'll be more of a public outcry when these massive structures start to dot the landscape?
Well, I'm going to go back to an article that was published by CBC Newfoundland and Labrador. And I can't give you the details, but the CEO of Newfoundland and Labrador Hydro, she figures, I'm quoting them now, apparently she said that she sees where wind turbines will be a common sight in Newfoundland. That being said, they have since, they lifted a 15-year moratorium on wind, and all this depends on Bill C-49. Offshore, and they want offshore wind turbines coming, and nobody's. You know what? I can use it. I'm pretty good at writing words. I'm just not good at talking because I get my emotions start to show, right? But and then there's all the people that are living in Alberta and Northern Ontario. They've worked for years out there. They plan to retire in Newfoundland, and from everything I hear, they're not coming back to retire in Newfoundland. So, they're promising this is going to do good for our economy. What about our tourism industry? Are people going to flock into Newfoundland like they have for years to watch whales if there's no whales to watch?
Ken, we'll have to leave it there. We're up to news time now, but I appreciate your call. We'll hear what others have to say. Thank you very much.
Hey, you have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.